Welcome to the remastered version of Spyro the Dragon 2. Playing Spyro the Dragon 2 makes you feel like you're a tiny dragon with a big ego who thinks setting everything on fire is a sound life strategy. Spyro the Dragon 2 Remastered is an adventure platform game that was developed by Toys for Bob and published by Activision. Here is the story. Spyro and Spark set out for a relaxing vacation at Dragon Shores, but end up being magically transported to the world of Avalar. There, they meet Elora, Hunter, and the Professor, who called on to Spyro to help stop an evil sorcerer named Ripto. Ripto has taken control of Avalar and is spreading chaos across its many realms with the help of his minions, Crush and Gulp. To defeat him, Spyro must explore each world, collect talismans and orbs, learn new abilities, and take on challenging bosses. It's up to him to bring peace back to Avalar, and maybe still find some time for that vacation. Spyro 2 clearly has more of a focus on the story than Spyro 1 did. I still wouldn't say at all though that it's targeting those that like a good story. You can play Spyro on a mouse and keyboard, which I don't know why you would again, or you can play with a controller. Spyro 2 is available on Nintendo Switch, Xbox Cloud Gaming, PlayStation 4, GeForce Now, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows. Here are the menu settings. There is no cross-play or cross-progression in Spyro 2, as it is a single-player game only. As you'd expect from most remastered games, Spyro 2 in the Reignited Trilogy looks a lot better than it did when it originally released. Everything is fully textured, the colors are vibrant, and you won't find any of those old sharp polygon edges. Visually, it's a huge upgrade. That said, there are actually a few things that the original version did better in my opinion. For example, the text on the portals. In the remastered version, it overstretches past the portal and just doesn't have the same feel as it did in the original, where it fit inside of the portal with a less plain font. Another thing is how the game lets you know you completed a level 100%. In the original, there was a fun little animation and sound effect that would pop up to celebrate the moment. It made finishing a level feel more satisfying. In the remaster, it's a lot more subtle, almost too plain. It kind of takes away from that feeling of accomplishment. One nice touch though is the music. The remaster gives you the option to switch between the new soundtrack and the original, so you can choose whichever vibe you prefer while playing. And once again, the specs aren't demanding either, with the GTX 960 recommended. The gameplay flow in Spyro 2 will feel pretty familiar if you played the first game, but there are some key changes that shake things up. Instead of collecting dragons and dragon eggs like in Spyro 1, you're now on the hunt for orbs and talismans. Each level follows a consistent structure. You hop through a portal into a new world, collect gems, complete a few side activities or mini-games to earn orbs, and then talk to the final NPC to receive that level's talisman. It's a simple loop, but it's satisfying, especially with the added variety from the mini-games and challenges. The first two homeworlds follow this talisman-focused progression. Gather all of the talismans, and the path to the boss opens up. But once you reach the third homeworld, things shift a bit. Now it's all about the orbs. You'll need to have collected enough of them along the way to unlock the final showdown with Ripto, which we'll talk more about in a bit. Well, how do you earn orbs? Again, by doing mini-games inside of each world, like for example, playing hockey. These give each world a unique set of challenges to do that helps to keep the game fresh and enjoyable. And what is your reward for beating the game? Well, you get to go to Dragon Shores, which is sort of like an amusement park. Nothing to really write home about here, except if you want the Super Flame power-up or want to see the game's cutscenes again. Spyro 2 takes the solid foundation of the first game and expands on it with a bunch of new mechanics that really deepen the gameplay. You still have your core moves: charging, breathing fire, jumping, gliding, and flying. And yes, you could still pull off that satisfying loop-de-loop. But Spyro 2 doesn't stop there. The game introduces new abilities like hovering, swimming, climbing, and the head bash, all of which open up new ways to explore each level. You don't get the last three right away though. You have to pay gems to money bags to unlock them. It adds a sense of progression as you go, and makes returning to earlier levels feel rewarding instead of repetitive. There is some backtracking involved because of the new abilities though, but it's handled well because it's sprinkled in a few levels, rather than every single one. Also new to Spyro 2 are the super power-ups, temporary boosts that give Spyro special abilities like super flight, fireball attacks, or high-powered spring jumps. These aren't just handed to you though, you'll need to defeat a certain number of enemies in a level to activate them, with each enemy dropping a little soul that contributes to powering them up. Once you hit the required count, the power-up gate activates, and you're good to go. And in the remastered trilogy, there are a few extra quality of life features too, like using sparks to point you towards any missing gems. It's a small feature, but one that makes a big difference when you're trying to 100% a level. One of the biggest differences between Spyro 1 and Spyro 2 is how the game handles its enemies, especially the bosses. The first game, the boss fights were more like slightly tougher regular enemies, often feeling like a missed opportunity. But in Spyro 2, the boss battles are a real highlight. You'll face off against Crush, who basically feels like Bam Bam from the Flintstones. Then there's Gulp, A much more intense fight, where he uses all kinds of weapons that get dropped into the arena, everything from rockets to bombs. And finally, there's Ripto himself, who brings the most chaotic and multi-phase fight in the game. These boss battles feel like actual set pieces this time around, with patterns to learn and a real sense of progression. As for the regular enemies, they're pretty similar in behavior to what you'd see in Spyro 1. They might look different depending on the level, but most of them still follow the same general patterns. Charge at you, toss a projectile, or just stand around waiting for a flame. They serve their purpose, but it's really the bosses that give Spyro 2 its edge when it comes to enemy design. There's no pay to win at all, and the only way you can change the appearance of Spyro is by putting in a cheat code, or by going into a power-up. Looking at Reddit, there are glitches that are known in Spyro 2. However, I haven't encountered any of them, at least none that I can remember. The same issue with Spyro 2 is the same issue I had with Spyro 1, which is that sometimes when walking by gems, sparks won't pick them up. Outside of that, there wasn't really much I had a problem with. Spyro 2 is a major step up from the original game in just about every way. It takes the solid platforming foundation of Spyro 1 and builds on it with real boss battles, fun and varied minigames, and new abilities that add depth to the gameplay. It's clear that the developers listened to feedback from the first game and made a real effort to expand the experience. The Reignited Trilogy does a great job of bringing all of that to life with modern visuals and some nice quality of life updates. It really shows just how much of a leap Spyro 2 was back in the day and how well it still holds up now. If you've never played it, or even if you're just looking to revisit it, Spyro 2 is absolutely worth your time. And with it being available on Xbox Game Pass, it's super easy to jump in and see for yourself why it's still such a fan favorite. On our patent 0 to 1 scale, we give this game a 0.85 out of 1. The game is an absolute classic. There isn't much here in terms of replayability besides the game just being fun. If you were rewarded more or given a reason to play the game again, it would have been given a higher score. If you like this no bullshit review of Spyro 2, please climb your cursor to the like button, head bash into the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below what game you'd like to see reviewed next. Thank you for watching, and make sure to pause before you react in your life. A moment of calm can save you from a lifetime of regret.